Well, howdy, folks. How's it going today? Hope you're all doing really good. Well, I'm just changing out some parts here on this Squire Bullet. Uh, we're not sure where this one's made. This one belongs to a friend. Somebody has scratched that off there, unfortunately. I'm thinking it's probably made in Japan, but it is a nice guitar. It's quite heavy. It's got a Kahler flyer on it as well, and somebody put custom shop pickups in it. Not sure if those are stock or what's going on here, but I think they're, not, I don't think they're original to the guitar, I should say. I think somebody did add them because they had it wired wrong and it was poorly wired. There was solder all over the back of the parts. And I just wanted to kind of talk about that for a second. So you put new parts in, right? Now you got to ground stuff to the back of these. We all know how that works, right? Usually you have one jumped across to jump ground. You got one coming from your jack and, one from the bridge plate. And that all that stuff gets grounded to wherever you want to do it is fine, as long as they're all connected. Now you also have a capacitor here, which I haven't soldered in yet, and one leg of that will get grounded to the pot too. So what I like to do is do those all at the same time. That way I'm only heating this pot up one time. These things don't like to get hot multiple times. It just ends poorly. Let's just say that. So one thing you could do, you could solder the leg of this cap into the pot, and that would, solder it in place so it's going to help hold that down onto the back of the pot. I just knocked it off, but, and then, like I said, try to make one solder connection, get a screwdriver or two like this to hold stuff in place while it's cooling. Now turn your pot all the way down or all the way up. You don't want it in the middle or on 2 or 3 or what have you, because you'll burn the wiper out of there that makes contact and allows this thing to work. So they got to be all the way off or all the way on, okay? Same thing when you come over here. We got some pickup grounds that we're going to ground to the back of this, and we're going to ground this jumper as well. And, I want to do that one quick shot. I only have to heat it once to do it. So instead of, what a lot of people do is like, oh, I need to ground these wires, and, they're building, as they go along. So, oh, I need to put the cap in now. So they solder that. Now they heat this up again to solder the leg on. You get the idea. So that's something to keep in mind for sure when you're doing this kind of stuff. I'd also recommend, maybe picking up a little kit like this full of caps. There's all kinds of values here. You can double these together too and do that kind of stuff. And there's 375, pretty cheap, like 10 or 15 bucks maybe. And then you don't have to wait a week and a half for a cap while you're fixing a guitar or what have you. So another great thing is one of these. This little tester here. You can get these on eBay or Amazon. Pretty cheap, 10 or 15 bucks. Now what you can do is you could take like a capacitor or a resistor or whatever, put one leg in one of these little slots and one in the other. You can do it in any configuration. And then you pull this lever down and that clamps it in place. You hit that button, it'll tell you what the part is, what the value is, and that's just really nice to have. That way, if, you want to test the cap before you put it in there just to make sure it is the right value, and you can experiment with that kind of stuff too. So, those things I do recommend picking those up if you're going to do this kind of stuff. Get a good soldering tool, definitely. And one other thing you see a lot of people do I've seen it in videos, and people will solder with dirty soldering tips. Now you want that nice shiny look to it, so you wet that sponge down and twirl it. I do this pretty much every time when I'm soldering to make sure stuff is clean. Now, when you unhook wires and that kind of stuff, there's dirt, there's all kinds of gunk that can get on your soldering tip. Then when you put the new stuff in and try to solder, a lot of times it makes it tough to solder and it doesn't seem to stick well because it's so full of dirt. And you can get a cold solder joint like that too. And just, it can keep it from making a good connection. So make sure your soldering tip is clean all the time. I really recommend that. If you do that, you will never have issues with your soldering. Trust me. When you're doing it, just stick the soldering tip onto the contact. You can almost count to 3, and it should be hot. Add your solder. Keep the tip right on it while you're putting the solder in, and boom, once that hits, pull the tip away and don't move it. Just let it cool. You'll see it haze over, and just wait a little bit and you're good to go. But that is something that I do recommend. Try to limit the amount of heat and the amount of repetitions of heat that you perform on these pots, because they really don't like it. Switches too. I mean, they'll take a little bit more, but again, just try to keep the heat down as much as you can. So I thought I'd just share a few things like that with you guys, and like I said, it's not really that difficult, but there are a few things that you need, and there's a few steps that you need to follow to make sure that your stuff stays clean and you're not burning everything up by reheating the back of that pot 6 times to put ground leads on it, okay? So just kind of pre-plan and lay out your wiring. Follow a diagram, lay out that wiring, follow the pathway, and then try to bunch up as much of this soldering as you can. Same when you're soldering onto these lugs. If you have multiple wires going to the lug, try to do that one shot, okay? Well, anyway, folks, I just wanted to share that with you, and hopefully this helps. Thanks again for all the nice comments on the video I did on the palm bender I made out of the kitchen fork. It's pretty cool. It works good. I've been having a lot of fun just messing around with it and trying some different steel licks. I'll try to do another video sometime here soon, and I've been just kind of playing with it. Like I said, it is really fun, and it's opening up some new doors for me for sure, and it didn't cost a penny. So if you want to check that video out, go back in my playlist under guitar and gear repair, and you can check them out. There's tons of videos on there, lots of repairs. I have videos on fret jobs as well, all kinds of guitar or stuff. So feel free to check that out. And thanks again for all the support. We'll see you guys real soon. Be good. Okie doke.